How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Williams Builds channel, and welcome back to another video on the BMW Z4. In the last video we fixed the suspension and started making the bodywork a bit straighter again. This video we're going to start replacing the panels that are damaged, and we'll get the car back in one piece again, hopefully ready to go back on the road. Let's go. Okay, so removing the front bumper on the E89 Z4 is quite simple. There is 7 Torx bolts along slam panel at the top and a number of 8mm head screws up the sides and underneath the bumper. Once they're all removed, the only thing still connected is the washer jets and one wiring loom connector for a sensor and the parking sensors. Thankfully there's no damage to any of these, so it all comes off pretty easy, and then the front bumper simply lifts off the car. And thankfully, whilst removing the bumper, there doesn't seem to be any real damage to anything behind. All the crash bars seem okay, the wiring loom's fine, the washer jets are fine, and also the parking sensors all seem fine too. So any damage does seem limited to the corner, so it really does help when you're trying to fix a car on a budget. It's the less damage behind it, makes it easier to fix. I think the worst of the damage and the most expense is probably going to be along the side of the car, and we will fix this in this video also. I'll go through the numbers again at the end of this video, but remember I'm aiming to get this whole car fixed for £4.5 grand, so any hidden damage could really change that quickly. Next up, it's time to remove the broken headlight. I was hoping it was just the tabs broken and possibly able to fix it with a new lens and some tabs, but the headlight casing is actually split in two, so I have to buy another headlight. Thankfully there's one on eBay. I got it for around £400, but that's not the end of the world. The headlight comes off with just 3 bolts, and the mounting points can be easily moved back into position as they're only slightly bent out of the way. And there's also adjustment in the headlight to be able to get it back to 100% when refitting it again. It actually helps if you take the front section of the arch liner out to access the headlight bolts, and it also gives much better access for everything, especially if you're having to measure the brackets to get them back in place. But I'll put that back in when I'm rebuilding, so I quickly remove that and set about bending the mounting bracket slightly back into place, using the driver's side as a reference point just to make sure that I get it absolutely 100% spot on. So now I can fit my second hand headlight from eBay, and it fits back in perfectly using the original mounting bolts on the original brackets without too much adjustment. This also lets me know that the car hasn't suffered too much damage and will be relatively straight once it's finished. After that's fitted, I can then see just how well my bonnet that I reshaped in the last video fits, but I'm still on the fence with that one, and I think if there's any doubt I will be replacing the bonnet, as I need this to be perfect and I can't have any less, especially if it's a car I'm keeping. Although even if I was selling it, I would do the same thing because it's my reputation on the line here, and I really need everything that I do to be perfect. I am trying to build up a good reputation here, and I don't want to be selling anything that's less than 100%. Unfortunately, I wasn't happy with the bonnet. It would have had a bit too much filler in it for my liking, but what I've done in the meantime is I've actually just got a new bonnet in colour, so it's not going to need any more work on it. It's absolutely perfect. and it lines up a lot better. I think the front end was just ever so slightly twisted, and it was sitting a lot lower than the headlight. So next thing we've got to do is we've got to get this front wing changed, we'll get the door changed, and we'll get the car back in one piece. Let's go. So I actually fitted the new bonnet off camera when it came late at night and it was dark, so it was just 4 bolts in total, 2 on each hinge, and thankfully that showed that there was no damage to the hinges, and swapped over the washer jet pipes as well at the same time. I lined it up using the paint marks on both the old hinges and the new bonnet. Thankfully that made it line up perfectly. Then it's on to removing the front wing panel. Unfortunately to do this I do have to take the side skirt off first, and there's just a few bolts holding the wing on. But removing the side skirt, there's just a few clips under there and they just pull out, and then the side skirt just pulls off at the top after that. Then I can get on to removing the wing. And as you can see here, I just pull the side skirt off at the top. Those clips just pop right back in when it's going back on, and as there's absolutely no lining it up either, it only goes on one way when it's going back on. After that I can remove the front wing, a few 10mm bolts along the top, 3 down the back from inside the arch, and 2 underneath. Then the wing comes right off. After that I can give the area a good quick clean, ready for the new wing that I've just painted myself. So if you've enjoyed watching this video this far, hopefully it's given inspiration and hopefully showing that anybody can pretty much do this at home. And if you're enjoying watching another car being saved, please hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The channel is growing nicely and I'm so close to being able to monetize this channel and bring much bigger and better things. Coming soon is another video finishing the Bentley and hopefully finally finishing the Evoque too. Also, I think if this car comes in budget, we might make it a little bit nicer with a couple of fancy bits and really make it personal to my taste, so I can keep this one for a little while and just really enjoy it. Now I've painted this wing, but I haven't wet sanded and polished yet, so I'm not going to put the indicator or the badge back in just now. Once that's done, we can put it all back together. Next thing, we move on to the door. Just check the alignment on this wing first, just to make sure it lines up perfectly. So that panel fitment is absolutely perfect. Really happy with that. It'll be even better when we've got a better door on. We'll go and do that, make a start to that now. Then it's on to replacing the damaged door. It probably was repairable, but at just £200 damage was significant enough to justify replacing it, and the one I got is in colour and perfect condition from the same year car, so luckily it's a perfect match. First, the interior cover comes off the wing mirror and a couple of bolts with one plug to remove the mirror, and I can then start removing the door card. There's a few screws on covers and then removing a few screws from the door card, and the door panel pulls straight off with a number of clips behind it, allowing access to all the interior workings of the door, which I remove next. One thing I did learn from the previous cars that I've done, the 140 in particular, when I was replacing the door on that, to remove the glass before unplugging the door, as that has to be done in a certain position or you can't get the screws and I have to put the door back on again. So it is good to learn from previous cars as well, and learning as you go along. Once the door card's off, there's a wiring loom to unplug and the door handle cables unclipped too. Then you can carefully remove the foam sheet covering the door hole, as I will reuse that on the new door. This then allows access to everything inside the door, and I'll carefully remove everything as I'm going along and put it in an order so I can put it all back in the new door, as the door came completely bare. And then once everything's out the door, it's one bolt on each hinge and then one bolt on the door stay, and the door simply lifts off and I can lift the new door straight back into place. Thankfully again, the hinges are self-aligning with the little tapers on the hinges, so the door drops into place with very little effort. Then back in with the hinge bolts and start to rebuild the door in the exact reverse process of removing it. Back in with the window mechanism and start to refit the bracing and the wiring loom. This allows me to then adjust the window mechanism to the right place to be able to drop the window back in. I refit all the trims around the windows and refit the latch mechanism for the door as well. Thankfully these don't really need much aligning apart from the window's glass. It's best to put it back in, then close the door before putting the side window up, with the bolts still loose. Once it's in a fully up position, you can slide the glass to where it seats properly and tighten the two holding bolts, ensuring it's in the right location. It's worth noting here, be careful first time you open the door just in case it's not right, and you could easily smash the glass if you don't do it right. So I start to put everything back in the door, starting with the door handle and the door latch. Then after that I put all the window mechanism back in the exact opposite order. I remove them, and it is just a few nuts to put it back in. Once that's in, I can then start to put the window back in. Once I was doing this, I actually put everything in order just to make it easier putting it back in, as there is quite a lot in the sequence. And to put the window back in, you have to temporarily connect the electrics on the door back up to be able to adjust the window lifter in order to gain access to put the two holding bolts back in the bottom of the glass. Once that's done, I can fully lift the window and slide it back into its proper position before tightening the bolts and ensuring the window is still in the right place so it seals, and also it doesn't break because it goes up in the wrong position. Once I've done that, it's just putting all the brackets and clipping the door card back on permanently. This was a relatively easy task and much easier than trying to repair the damaged bodywork on the original door. Then once the door card's back on, it's just the last few screws to completely secure it into place, and then refit the mirror, and lastly clip the small cover that holds the speaker back on, and the door is done. So how much better does that look now? The door's replaced, wings replaced, all looks good. The wing still needs a flat and polish, but it looks a lot better with headlight. And the bumpers, the alignment is absolutely perfect. Ready to put the bumper back on, that'll be what we'll do next. Actually, we'll put the side skirt back on first, because the side of the car's done and it's ready just to put that back on, and then it's done and out of the way. The side skirt clips back on first at the top and into the brackets at the front and rear wings, and then you can push the clips back in underneath. Then there's only just two little 8mm head screws at the back holding the rear arch liner to the skirt. Another job done, and another step closer to the car being fully repaired. And just how much better is the side of the car starting to look now that it's coming back together. Just think the damage that was all along there is all gone now, and it really is starting to look a lot better, and I'm so happy with the progress so far. And now it's time to put on the new front bumper. This one was off eBay again, and it was in colour, but it did have light paint damage, so I got it really cheap. I'll go through the numbers at the end. So I have painted this myself again to save money, and it really has come out perfect. I think I've ended up spending about £50 on paint rather than actually having to pay a body shop for this one. So it really is a big win-win for me at the moment, especially when I'm trying to keep the price down. I've already wet sanded and polished this bumper before refitting it, and all the sensors, grills and wire and loom from the old bumper are all fitted too, so it's ready to pop back on. The bumper slots back into place easily and clips into the plastic brackets at each side. Then I start to reattach all the bolts and screws that were originally holding it back on, and it really was as simple as that. It all lines up really easy. Again, another sign that the car is totally straight and there really isn't much adjusting needed, so a big plus for this rebuild. So that's the bumper fitted, and it looks fantastic. Panel gaps are absolutely perfect, and it looks great all the way around. So that's obviously the side that was damaged, the headlight, everything all lines up absolutely perfect. Really happy with that. So we'll get on to putting the wheel arch liners back in, and then we'll get it back on its wheels. So the wheels are now back from powder coat, and don't they look amazing? Absolutely brilliant, because those wheels were really bad, really pitted before, and now there's not a mark on them. I've done them gloss black because I want to have a little bit of different look in the car. But let's get them on the car and get the car back on its wheels, and we'll take it for a little test drive now all the suspension's fixed. Now the black wheels won't be to everybody's taste, and it's not normally something I would do, but it will make more sense later in the next video. But I actually think this car really suits them already, and it's actually really good to see this one nearing completion already, as even though there was a few bits wrong with it, and especially the roof when I first got it as well, which I was really worried about, and it turned out such a cheap fix. So far everything has been so easy to do. I just hope the car runs as nice as it's now starting to look. The car does have a bit of mileage on it, but these cars are usually quite bulletproof, and it looks like it's been looked after quite well. It's just a shame Copart throw the service history away for data protection, but I will give the car a good service and check it over before I do any miles on it. Hopefully that way it won't give me any problems for a while, and I'll really get some good enjoyment from this car. Then off camera I wet sanded and polished the wing using 1500 grit sandpaper, and then Sfizzer compound with an orange pad of the same make, and the wing now looks so much better and the colour match is pretty much perfect. I then start putting the badge back on the side and also the side repeater just to finish the wing, and I think I'm going to leave the S-Drive badges off as it just looks a lot cleaner, plus genuine S-Drive badges are quite pricey and I don't want to add to the repair bill. Okay, so in the last video we've so since we're building this car on a budget, we're just got to keep a track on the price. So we'll see how we're getting on. I'm hoping to get this in at under £5,000. I did originally say 4,500, but at the end of the day, I have put another bonnet on it, and that has cost a little bit more. So I'll be quite happy if I can get this in under £5,000. It is a car I'm going to keep for a little while, so I'm really happy as long as it's under that £5,000 mark. So let's see what it's came up at. So the rest of the parts we got after for this video was the bumper came in at 400. The wing was £100. The door was £150 and that was in colour thankfully as well. The bonnet, it was unfortunately it was £700. The wheels refurbishment was £280, but there was a lot of work there and done a really good job of it. I put new tyres on it and they were £300. Paint came in at only £50. And at the end of the day, painting it myself, it's came out really good. I'm really happy with that, and it's saved me a lot of money by doing it the small bits that I could myself. Hopefully next year when I do have my workshop in the garden, I will be able to do a lot more of that, and I'll save a lot more money going forward as well. Lastly, I have serviced the car now as well, and it was another £130. So the total price for the car, now that it's nearly finished, is £4,810. So thanks so much for watching everybody. The next video will be, we'll finish the back end of the car, we'll fix the crack on the back bumper, hopefully get a bit of paintless dent repair done, and we'll have a look at tidying up the interior, and I have ordered a little body kit for it as well. So we'll just make it complete in the next video, and hopefully that'll be it finished, and hopefully the last video on the BMW for now. Thanks so much for watching. As always, like the video if you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel. The channel's growing really well just now, and I would like to keep it growing. So thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next one.